I'm Vance Witt, and I grew up most of my life around cotton plant. Still live within 4 miles of cotton plant, but anyway, my dad had a grocery store there, and early years from zero. I was born in September 10th, 1938, and at that time the doctor came out to your house, and I was born at home. And anyway, we had a farm, and my dad got injured. He loved to do odd jobs. He had a school bus route. He had an ice route. He hurt his back, so he had to quit farming. And so I had an uncle who was in the Big Star business at Ripley, Uncle Noverta Witt, and he got my daddy started in the grocery store and general merchandise at Cotton Plant. And my daddy was there for a long time. We moved to Cotton Plant when I was about 10 years old, and lived there till all the rest of my life till I married. But anyway, I went to Tipper Union High School, which was at that time a line school. That was students came from Union County as well as Tipper County, and of course it was one of the first to consolidate. And but I graduated from Tipper Union in 1956, and I had a girlfriend, Martha Jane Barkley, better known as Tootsie. We dated probably 3 or 4 years, but she was a year ahead of me. She graduated a year before I did. And anyway, we got married in 1957. And that year, I decided I needed to go to college. I really thought I was smart enough. I laid out a year, but we got married, and she worked at Futord, had a good job. My dad had a garage apartment, and he helped us a lot with groceries and all the utilities. And Tootsie worked, she had a job, and so I decided I better go to college while I could. So I enrolled at Northeast Mississippi Community College, and I went there 2 years, and from there I went to Ole Miss. And all the time, 4 years I went to college, I commuted. We had carpools, different ones, carried the car different days or different weeks. So I graduated from Ole Miss in 1961, and the accounting firm in New Albany was Chisholm, Jones and Gray, a CPA firm. Had an office in New Albany, Boonville, and Corinth. So Mr. Chisholm was in New Albany, and that's where I put in most of my time here in New Albany. I worked there. They sold out. I went immediately there when I graduated from college, and they split up the partnership. Mr. Chisholm sold his New Albany practice to Gene Tate, and of course Gene was a mighty good employer. And one day I got a call from, well, first I talked to him. He said, well, Mr. Collins down at the bank has asked me if it would be okay if he talked to me about a job. And of course, Gene was a good enough friend. He said, well, that'd be good. And so I set up an interview, and I liked what I heard, and I was familiar with bank records and all that. And I went to work in December 1, 1968, and I was assistant cashier. So we were there about in the old bank next to the railroad track downtown about a couple of years, I guess, because in 1970 we were constructing a new bank building across from the courthouse. We moved into it in 1970. We were about $7 million at that time. The architect said, well, this should hold y'all till you reach 25 million. It wasn't long, it wasn't a year or two that we had to add on. And we added on a couple of times there at the bank. The bank is where I started out assistant cashier. Had every office. I was vice president, then president and CEO, and then chairman of the board. And I'm still chairman of the board, but I'll finish out my term at the end of this year, and that'll give me 58 years in banking. And it's been good. We are strictly a community bank. We help a lot of organizations like the museum, you name it. And I was involved in being on the board here at the museum, and it was some of the good years when we did an addition. And Jill, she's been real an asset to New Albany and to the museum, and appreciate all she's done. And anyway, we try to help. We do a lot of community work, and we tell our employees to get involved with organizations and be part of it, and they do. I learned when Mr. Collins was a man that hired me, and he was a good president of the bank. He was good to me, but he passed away, I believe, in '76. Anyway, I was chosen to be the president and CEO when I was pretty young. I could figure it out, but I was a young president anyway. But I had a lot of good help at the bank, and by him passing away it was a big change for me, and by them choosing me was a sure enough one. But I had the community support, and we are, if everything keeps going like it is, we'll be 850 million by year end, and we probably reach $1 billion before too long. And we have 5 locations, well, really 6, counting New Albany being the home location, Belden, Tupelo, Oxford, Myrtle, and Pontotoc. We have 6 locations, and we have some good people. And that was my philosophy all along. Try to hire the best people, and then tell them what you expect them to do, and then let them do it. And you know, a lot of times you being the boss, you want to keep hands on everything, but it didn't take me long to find out you can't do that. You've got to trust your employees and let them do their job, and that's been our motto. And we, like I said, I married young. We have 3 daughters, Angela, Spencer, Nita Aliff, and Martha Rainey. Of course, Angela passed away about 5 years ago, I guess now, but I have some great daughters, and they take care of me and my wife, and I'm so proud of them. And we are good church people, and we are really involved in the church. Tusa played the piano for 50 years, and she was playing when I married her. And of course, that gave me a babysitting job a lot, because she'd be playing the piano. We didn't have a nursery, so I had to take care of the children. So anyway, they are involved, and they involved in church, and the Lord has blessed us in so many ways. Without Him, we wouldn't have made it. Jesus is Almighty, and my children and grandchildren, I hadn't mentioned them. I have 8 grandchildren, and no, I don't have 8. I may have to ask Anita, but anyway, I probably do have 8, and have 7 great grandchildren, and we all live around close, and we see each other at least once a week most of the time. One of them granddaughters moved to Nashville. She don't make it as often as others, but she's here probably a couple times a month. So we've been blessed, and all I'm saying, New Albany's been good to me. The bank's been good to me. Bethlehem Methodist Church has been good to us. So Tipper Union was a good school, and we had a lot of people that went to Tipper Union, like Dr. Ellis, and just a lot of people that graduated there and went on and did good. And we had good sports, basketball and baseball, softball, and all that. But it was, when I first started, we had a different principal, but Mr. Cecil Gooch, which people are familiar with him, he was Jerry Gooch's daddy, and he was principal there at that time, and he ran a good school, and discipline was good, and I think the school was organized in the 20s, 1920 something, and I don't know what year it became consolidated, but it was a big change. Some of the students, Tipper County had to go to Blue Mountain, or didn't have to. They could choose Blue Mountain or Ripley. And then Union County, if you lived on the east side of the railroad track, down as far as the old pumping station, you'd come to New Albany. If you lived on the other side, you went to Myrtle. And of course, it split up school pretty good. But I don't know back then why they made it a line school. It was, I guess, close to Cotton Plant, and that was the place they put it to have students from both counties. And I really don't know how it got formed or organized, but good school. And it was you started at first grade and went through the 12. It was all 12 years there at Tipper Union.
How far did you live from the school?
A couple of miles probably.
How did you get to school?
We had a school bus, but a lot of times I would walk, and it wasn't, I could cut through. We had to cut through, go from where we lived there, right behind the store, and cut through and come out over there pretty close to the school. I'd do that, and but most time rode the bus. Nobody had a car to go in then, and that was when I went to Northeast. I rode a bus. That was, I bet, wasn't 10 cars on the campus in those years. That was a long time ago, 57, 1950.
Where would the bus pick you up to go to Northeast?
If you could catch it there at the store, Cotton Plant, and
at your daddy's store?
Yeah, it stopped there and got 2 or 3 of us. And in fact, Mr. Messer was bus driver. He'd turn around there at the store, so his 2 boys that lived up Blue Mountain would drive down to the store to catch a bus. But if you lived in Tipper County at that time, your tuition was $10 a semester. If you lived in Union, it was $0. And it didn't cost much to go to school. You buy your books. So that was a blessing. That was something. But
so were you married at that time?
I was.
So your wife was supporting y'all while you went to school.
Yeah. And she loves for me to give her credit, and she's due. She said, I worked while you went to school. When Anita was born, Angela, we married in 57, Angela was born in 59, Anita was born in 63. And we built a house and moved where we live now. She asked me this morning how many times we add on to it, and I said, well, 3 or 4 times. But anyway, that was quite she said, well, you got to ride that bus to school the other day, and y'all just had a big party. And I said, well, we did play a lot of rook and game. But anyway, when we went to Ole Miss, it was 4, sometimes 5 of us. You didn't have to go but one day a week to commute, so it was pretty reasonable too. And I could stay at home, help my dad in the store some. But
What was the name of his store?
VC Witt, I don't know what they call it, general merchandise or grocery, one or another. Had Line Oil was her gas, and it was on the east side of 15 and Highway. When they bought right away, they got the old store building and really got the garage where I lived in too. It's gone where we lived till we built our house. But
What did you do in the store?
Whatever. I know my daddy, he wanted to help everybody. And a lot of times I wouldn't know the price of something. He'd go to the bank. And Blue Mountain was the closest bank, so I went to Blue Mountain. He'd leave me there, and I have to write down so-and-so got so-and-so till he got back. But he trusted me, and you know, the only thing I ever got out of the store that probably he wouldn't approve of, we sold cigarettes by the piece. He always kept a pack of cigarettes open, and somebody wanted a nickel worth, they'd get 5 cigarettes. Well, I slipped a few of those cigarettes, but he trusted me, and I didn't dare not do right. So at an early age, I could see after the store, but he wouldn't be gone long, no longer than 30 to an hour at least. But and I was going to tell you, his store was a general merchandise. It had the post office was in that building. We had a cotton plant. Had a postmaster. Right behind it was another room, and it was a barber shop. And right below it was an ice house. And we bought ice already made in New Albany, and we had a place to store it there where you could buy 50 pound, 100 pound. And he had most anything. People buy coal by the sack. He kept a big pile of coal. But he had most anything in that store you wanted. If he didn't, he'd try to get it, I think. And he helped a lot of people. I know my mother would fuss about it sometimes, but he would help people, and most all of them paid him. Had one fella, Dad had already retired, and sold the store out. And this guy knocked on his door one day. He worked on the McAllister farm. He said, Mr. Witt, I want to pay you. And he owed him about $700 or $800, which was a good bit of money back then. But he signed up for Social Security and got back pay, so he came and paid my daddy off. So he never did lose a lot of money because he was good to people. But anyway.
Did people ever pay him in any way other than
Just
cash?
Cash, yeah.
Did he didn't trade anything?
No, he didn't. Well, I'd say no. They might have, sometime they might have brought some molasses or something like that, you know, the watermelons or something. Yeah.
How big of a community was Cotton Plant at that
Oh,
time?
it was, you know, when Paul Rainey started, and the old store was where the elevator is now, and that's where my dad started out, and then they built a new store on this side of the railroad and highway. But I'd say probably in the post office there, my sister's got that old mail case where you put the mail, and probably be 25 and pick up her mail, no more than that. But they had a mail route that went out of Cotton Plant.
Did your dad's store supply the Paul Rainey estate?
at that time he passed away, and they just had managers up there, but he did things for them. I used to hunt on them some, and it was right at our back door. I could go out the back door and walk far near the bank and be there at the lodge. But I'd hunt up there sometime, wasn't supposed to, but they had a caretaker at that time that seen after it. A lot of people thought Mr. Rainey never died. They thought he'd be coming back. He had a place where he landed his plane out across the railroad and highway from the lodge there. And every time they'd hear an airplane coming around, well, they'd think he's coming home. They didn't think he had died, but it was a shot. He made cotton plant. In fact, the house I was raised in, he built for tenants to live in. And all up that one road that goes from 15 to Ebenezer Church was houses he built and people lived in. But my dad, I think, met him once, twice. He didn't really know him much.
What prompted you to do accounting?
I like numbers and did good in math and all. And after found out about it, and my brother-in-law, he was on major in accounting, or he did, and I just signed up for it. And over at Northeast, Mr. Hopkins was an accounting professor. He was crippled, was in a wheelchair. And I'll never will forget this, because Dr. Perry was an accounting professor at Ole Miss. He was real strict. When I entered to take intermediate accounting, I had 2 years of principal, and you had to take an intermediate next. I met in his class, and I'll never will forget it. He said, Mr. Witt, he called everybody by their name, Mr. Witt, not Vance, it was Mr. Witt. I don't know if you'd had the right preparation to take my course or not. He was downgrading Northeast, and I said, well, Mr. Children, let me try and see how I do. And we became great friends. And I ended up with C's and B's, so he was proud of me. In fact, he come to some events in New Albany just because he knew me and we knew each other. But and I was working on the CPA part. I'm not a CPA, and I'd passed 2 or 3 parts of it. But when I got in banking, I wasn't no need of doing it if I was going to make banking my career. But I knew a good bit about it. I tried to hire good accountants, so I started. Bob Spencer, he's a CPA.
When did B&A, being a community bank, become such a part of B&A?
I tell you who started was Mr. Collins, R.A. Collins. He was, and that way he thought, in which it does, get you business, you know. If you like a donation to a charity or, well, city or whatever, you know, one of the biggest pluses we've had and got as far as advertising was the B&A Bank Park, you know. It's right there on the highway and all, but we committed to donate so much money for so long, and it's paid off. People, I think, just feel more comfortable talking to local people, people that we hardly ever moved a lot of outside people in. Most time it was local people that worked for us. And I know when some of the other banks would bring in an outsider to be the president or something, we tried to promote within the bank. and it's really worked. We've been blessed, and we did the fun run, and about anything the city puts on, we help. And,
What has been some of the hardest times of the bank since you were there?
we had, I guess that was maybe in the 80s. We had a recession, and it got tougher, more hard times, I guess. 2 or 3 years there where we didn't do as well. But one thing, we've always been able to pay a dividend and to our stockholders, and that's been good. And I don't know. It's just people around good people just make good employees. That's all I'm saying. Got
So y'all
involved
still
in
like
churches,
keeping the locals and
and our people get involved in church and schools, and we just got a good bunch, and that helps. I used to call Ms. Hamilton, Betsy Hamilton, I called her Ms. Museum. She was here at that time. She's still involved.
mm-hmm.
She's really been a good one. But anyway, I may have served somebody's term out and then got put back on. And I think the last term I was on, we were in this building project, and had a little difficulty there, but we got it all worked out. And I really enjoyed it. I always had a good meal, and a lot of fun. Like I say, Jill she was good. Main Street has been good, and now it's really done good. You got good restaurants and good shopping, and it's just a good place to live, and I think people realize that. And it's going to grow some more, I think. And I think the trail has been a plus for us, and there's a lot of good things happening. And I think it'll grow, keep growing. Future looks good for New Albany, I think. Got good schools, good churches, close to Blue Mountain College, close to Ole Miss, close to all Northeast.
Were you involved with UCDA?
Why? Union County Development. I was president of the Development Association. I was vice president and then president of the union. Back then, it was big to recruit industry to come to town, and those were good years we had. And I think it really helped in getting some of the industry here. I was on, I guess, about every board, but I enjoyed it. And that helps too. You got people willing to volunteer to help, and most of our people are willing to do it. We let them go to the meeting, get off to go to Rotary Club or Silverton or whatever, Lions Club. Try to get somebody going to those organizations. End of this year, I'll have, I think I did say that I'll have in 58 years, and I'll be hanging up my hat on the end
You're
of this year.
going to be done?
Be done, yeah. Of course, we have a lot of regulations and all that, and they make you now have a retirement age to be on the board and all. You have to have a policy and all that. So we set ours at 80, I believe. and one or two of us were already over 80, so they grandfathered me till 87. And not 87, till I've been at the bank. My birthday, I'll be 88, so they grandfathered me till my 88th birthday.
And then they figure after that it's time for you to retire.
I'm fully retired.
What are you going to do next?
Oh, I'll stay busy. A lot of yard work, and that ice storm didn't help it none. That really added to it. We live out in the country, and got a horse, out to see Aunt him, and then got all that timber that broke down. My wife, she's scared it's gonna fall on the house, so maybe we can get it all cleaned up when it got some big trees right next to it.
Now, when is this retirement going to happen?
The end of this year. Actually,
in
my
December?
birthday is September the 10th of this year, so I may hang it up in. I might go to the end of the year. I'm not sure, but it'll be this. I'm in the short road.
Do you remember the first time the bank had an ATM machine?
Right.
Was that just seemed like the craziest thing ever?
Yeah, it was. Right, it was. And then that electronic banking, now they don't even have to come in the bank. These young kids, they don't know what coming in the bank and depositing or writing a check. When I started in banking, we didn't have account numbers and had all blank checks, and you didn't have to put account number or nothing on it. And someone come in that I knew or knew their mother and daddy, we'd tell them this. They said, "Well, I'm gonna buy a car. I'm gonna buy it this weekend or something." And we'd tell them, "Well, get you a blank check on the Bank of New York and just write a check, and we'll catch it when it comes through and call you and you come in." Made a lot of loans out of it, but I knew their parents. I had one lady tell me once, "You made me 2 or 3 car loans." I said, "Really?" And she told me what her name was, and I said, "Oh yeah, Mr. Tig." I said, "He did all the records. I mean, he come in and sign it, put it in her name and sign it." And I said, "That's all I needed." Just stuff like that. Now they run you off if you did something like that, but it's lots different.
You probably don't see many people coming in the bank, do you?
No,
like
not
you
like
used to?
be. No. One time I had 2 men on the board that were golfers, and they wanted on Wednesday afternoon to go play golf with them. I said, I don't have time to do that. I said, of course, a lot of days it's like being in a doctor's office. You might get to go at 12, and it might be 1 o'clock and whatever for lunch. And I said, "Well, do it this way." I said, I won't play any golf. My wife cooks us a good lunch every day. I said, "Let me go home and for 2 hours, take a 2-hour lunch break and forget about the golf." And they agreed to it. And man, that was nice. She'd cook up a good meal. Sometimes I bring somebody home with me, and she didn't like that too well. But anyway, it worked good. And of course, had a warm up for supper, so that was good. But anyway, they were good to me. I could even take a nap sometime, or do some odd job or something.
That was a good trade.
2-hour lunch, yeah. Of course, I didn't take advantage of it like I should. They knew I wouldn't. I did.